Sharpshooter. The right archetype of Archer's ability tree focuses on aiming and precision to deal brutal hits. With max stats and damage and range, I was curious to see if Sharp delivered on its premise as a deadly sniper. To figure this out, I decided to play Sharpshooter for 10 hours across Wynn's 4 raids to see if it's any good. But before we get into that, I have an announcement to make. I've made a Discord server. There you can get pinged whenever a new video comes out, and I also plan on streaming my 10 hours whenever I cover an archetype. You'll also be able to share any builds you want me to play as well as vote on future archetypes. Looking forward to seeing you there. Okay, back to the video. Sharpshooter's tree is interesting, yeah, let's go with that. There's a few playstyles associated with it: Spell, Tier Stack, and Twains. When I played Sharpshooter, I played all three, but I'll primarily be talking about Spellsharp. Before I get into each one though, we have to take a look at the core mechanic that defines Sharpshooter. Focus. Hitting an enemy from 5 or more blocks away will grant +1 focus up to a max of 8 with Yater nodes and a Sharpshooter mythic aspect. Focus makes up a significant amount of Sharp's damage scaling, as each focus increases your damage by 15%. However, there is one massive drawback. Missing a hit will reset your focus. Now, this might not seem that bad at first glance, just don't miss forehead. But in practice, maintaining max focus can be kinda hard. And he jumped when I bombed. It's over.
Goodbye all your DPS.
So if I try to shoot him as he enters watched, I lose all my focus because he goes invuln. That's awesome. I'm having so much fun right now. Things in this game can move, often very unpredictably, which can cause you to use all your focus. There was a lot of skill issue at the start. I could have avoided many of my focus resets if I had played just a bit better, but messing up even a single time is pretty disastrous. Focus has a 1.1 second cooldown, so if you drop focus you need to spend almost 9 seconds building it back up. Oh my god, it's Riftwalker all over again. But hey, at least they buffed Riftwalker. Focus was probably the most annoying when I was playing Spellsharp, which cycles Aerostorm and Bomb to build up focus and do damage. Sharp replaces the default Aerostorm with Phantom Ray, a single beam that hits 10 times a second, and with Decimator it increases in damage over time if you don't miss with it. Phantom Ray is pretty neat. With Phantom Force, the spell has a lot of range, meaning you can stand pretty far back. It's also very forgiving in that you only need to hit Phantom Ray once for it to not reset focus. My main gripe with Spellsharp comes from Aero Bomb. This spell, oh my god. Since Bomb is a single hit, you get one chance to not miss or else your focus is reset. And with Shocking Bomb, Aero Bomb becomes unaffected by gravity, so it will always go exactly straight from where you aim it. So what's the problem? Just don't miss. The issue is travel time. For an archetype that's meant to play from far range, you kinda get punished for playing far range. To maximize damage, you ideally want to be double bombing during Phantom Ray, since Phantom Ray has a 1.2 second duration, but since you can only have one bomb active at a time, if you're too far away you can't double bomb. Double bombing has one major problem though. It's very expensive sustain wise, and Sharp doesn't have a built-in mana printer.
This is where I put
mana printer.
if I had one.
And if you decide to instead play single bomb from far range, your target has more time to move out of the way from your arrow bomb, causing you to miss and reset focus. The damage on single bomb is also significantly worse. Speaking of damage, it's not very good. You might have seen the DPS in some of these clips and are thinking, I don't know, seems fine to me. But hear me out. I am playing Crafted Divzer, and this weapon has 300 more base than the next highest spell and has 39 mana steal built into it. Every other bow in the game not only has way less base, but also probably needs to build more sustain in Divzer, and building more sustain also typically means less room to build damage. Meaning if you, God forbid, want to play a weapon with more than 7k HP, the damage is just not there. And the viability of an archetype should not be dependent on one weapon carrying it. Now I want to talk a bit more about my experience playing Spellsharp. Initially, I did struggle with maintaining focus, but to be honest, after a few hours it wasn't that bad. In Groot, Spellsharp is pretty abysmal since the boss heavily favors AoE and Spellsharp being single target focused doesn't have much of that. NOL was okay outside of the few bits of archer racism. Fuck. Alright, I need a mob to shoot like in Crap Ray. Oh! Okay, wait, this
Bro, how did you? It was the exact same.
I made it!
Yay!
The raid is full of sustain buff, so you can double bomb pretty easily, and Orpheon was also surprisingly fine, but I guess that's what 2000 runs of this raid does to you. The main problem in that raid is Parasite. It has a small hitbox making it hard to hit, and it moves really weird, sometimes just jumping across the arena, which can break your focus. The boss also hits really hard, but if you keep your distance, there isn't much it can threaten you with. Stay away from me.
Wintle.
Yeah.
You Wintle.
No! I want Divzer!
Wintle.
No!
Wintle.
Get away! TCC was the easiest raid overall. The boss does not move and takes up the entire screen. It is harder to use focus than keep it in this fight. Also, ignore the DPS counter. Wintles does not track the damage if you're too far away. I promise I did not actually do 0 damage. Finally, there was TNA, which was fine once I started to actually pay attention and stopped trying to shoot him every time he was about to jump or enter watched. I'll be the first to admit, I'm not exactly the sharpest shooter in the West. But even when I was hitting all my shots and not dropping focus, the damage wasn't even that crazy on Divzer, so I can't imagine what it would have been like if I had played any other bow. Spellsharp might have the single worst damage to effort ratio of any archetype in the game besides maybe Acrobat. And Sharp doesn't have much else to make up for it. It has no form of support outside of Windy Feet, which doesn't belong to any archer archetype, and Coursing Restraint, which applies vulnerable for 4 seconds with a 12-second cooldown. And it's only 15%, meaning it's overridden by Akayite's Eldritch Call, an ability that you can get full uptime on. But what about the other two playstyles? Next up is Tier Stack Sharp, which is most often used with Epoch and grabs Triple Shot from Bolt Singer, which becomes Pentashot with Tier 2 Bolt Aspect. This playstyle takes advantage of homing shots to hit all 5 arrows for damage and to build focus. And yeah, that's basically it. Keep up Arrow Shield, bomb when Coursing Restraint is off cooldown, and spam right click until you win. You do have to be pretty close in order for the shots to home in, and if your shot is about to miss, you can swap off your weapon to cancel the shot and keep focus. There's not much else to say. It's very simple, easy to play, and dodges most gambits, but it doesn't excel in anything. And finally, we have Heavy Melee Twain, which is the worst one. The playstyle revolves around Twain's Arc, an ability that charges up a beam by shifting while having 2 focus. The beam scales by main attack damage, so you want to use items that give a lot of raw or % main attack damage. The problem with Twain's though is a lack of support. Sharpshooter is split between Spell and Twain support, and because of that, both playstyles are undercooked. Twain's has it much worse though, since it has less nodes, and the nodes it does get, E. I get what they tried to do with Twain's. Spectral Hover keeps you in the air so you can instantly fire Twains with Ghosty Trigger. Blam! Mid-air 360! Why does Ghosty Trigger have a 10-second cooldown? You also can't choose when you want to use Ghosty Trigger, so you can waste its activation by escaping from ability. Twain sounds cool in theory, but you end up being a sitting fuck most of the time. Wait, that's not right. And the damage is also not there. And that's about it for Sharp. As I mentioned before, the weird hybrid tree that Sharp has with Spell and Twains only ends up hurting both playstyles as valuable node spaces get used up on abilities the other can't make use of. Also, I may as well mention this now, but Sharpshooter is one of 2 archetypes that have 2 red nodes instead of 3, but for Sharp it may as well just be 1, as the second red node, Crepuscular Ray, is arguably the worst red node from an endgame perspective. The attack does less DPS than Hero Cycle normally, and it drains 1 focus a second, meaning it also gets weaker over time. Who thought this was a good idea? I did not use this ability a single time outside of cheesing Null Maze Room and for shits and giggles. There is a weapon that has a major ID focused around Crep Ray, but I'll save that for another time. Overall, Sharp was certainly an experience. It was my first real time playing Archer since 1.0 and first time I ever used Divzer. At the start, it was pretty frustrating, but I started getting better and better over time. And that process of improvement was pretty fun, even if the archetype itself wasn't very good. As of this video, a full-scale rework is planned that changes basically everything and integrates Twain's Arc better into the rest of the kit. I don't have an opinion on these ideas yet, since I care way more about execution, but whenever that rework drops, I'll be sure to check it out. For now though, I'm signing off.